So goodbye Yellow Brick Road. We got a new biopic that is out and it is fantastic. What's up y'all? My name's Robert with the Cinefanatics and I am here today with a review for Rocketman. This is the new biopic based on Elton John's life and I just got out of seeing it and I think it was pretty good. Now, there's not going to be any spoilers in this review, but just to let you know, Elton John is a successful musician. Sorry. So jumping into this, I would have to say right off the bat, one of the biggest things I liked about this story is the use of the fantasy elements that it had in it. This wasn't a normal, say, musician biopic that we're usually used to seeing, where musician goes through hardship, they go through disagreements with their friends and family, they may go through like the whole like sex, drugs, rock and roll type of thing. While those elements are definitely in here, it adds more of a fantasy layer to it besides just straightforward, oh, he's got a problem, he's probably not going to make it type of biopic. And I really like that use of this fantasy, realistic thing in this movie. I can't even use words on that. So a part of that fantasy element was the use of music in this movie. While I wouldn't call this movie a flat-out musical, there were parts where certain Elton John songs were used to help convey the emotion, the moment of specific scenes or specific times in his life. One of the ones that I absolutely loved was towards the beginning is the use of I Want Love. That was a very good scene, and I would say it was just based off that scene alone really opened my eyes to what the rest of this movie, its potential, was going to be. And I just thoroughly enjoyed it, like, from that moment on. The song that they used at the end to kind of close off the movie is pretty much an expected song given what he goes through, but the way it was done and shot was fantastic. And speaking of how this movie was shot, I also want to point out that this movie was directed by Dexter Fletcher. And if you remember, Dexter Fletcher was the one who took over directing duties from Bryan Singer on Bohemian Rhapsody when Bryan Singer had to part ways with production on that movie. Dexter Fletcher was brought in to finish, if I remember correctly, it was roughly like about 2 weeks of filming on that movie, but Bryan Singer still got the full credit of directing on that movie due to Directors Guild rules. So while that was going on, Dexter Fletcher was still working on his own musical biopic of Rocketman. And so I think like a lot of that you can kind of see some similarities between Rocketman and pieces of Bohemian Rhapsody because of Dexter Fletcher's involvement in both of them. The acting of this movie is fantastic, and it kind of saddens me just a little bit, not only just for acting but for the whole movie, that this movie isn't being released more towards Oscar season, because I think it might have some potential in there. Granted, I'm saying that now here at the beginning of June, when we really haven't seen a whole lot of movies that have that Oscar potential in it yet. So we don't fully know what it could potentially be up against. And typically movies that play this early in the year really have a long, hard stretch to still be nominated for any Oscars come the end of the year. With the exception of, say, like Black Panther. It's got to be a movie that really kind of transcends the pop culture awareness to be able to hit that level to still make it to the end of the year for nominations, like Black Panther did. So I'm not sure if this movie's going to have that kind of a pop culture breakthrough. It's definitely one that I think it should deserve a nod or at least a passing mention come Oscar time, again depending on what other movies it's going to be stacked up against. But as far as the acting goes in this, I think Taron Egerton's role as Elton John was fantastic. There were parts in this movie that, like, it looked exactly like him. And there were some parts I could have sworn they might have done some kind of CGI trickery to kind of mask Elton John's face over Taron Egerton's face for a couple of parts. Especially at the final closing scene with that final song I was talking about. There was definitely some pieces of that it looked straight like Elton John in that final part. And then also I want to mention Jamie Bell as Bernie Taupin. Bernie Taupin was Elton John's longtime collaborator and songwriter, and I think Jamie Bell did a fantastic job of. He was basically the anchor in Elton John's life throughout everything Elton John was going through. Jamie Bell's character really did a good job of just cementing that type of role as someone that you could turn to, lean on, that was always there, while not being just a two-dimensional, hey, I'm here to care for you, buddy, type of role. I think he did a fantastic job, and he definitely deserves a mention in acting as well. And then I also really like Bryce Dallas Howard as Elton John's mom. I think she did fantastic. She wasn't in it for very much, but the little pieces that she was in it, I think she did very well, especially as the movie progresses in time and she gets older. I think she did a phenomenal job, and not only just, I guess, like in hair and makeup looks on her, she did a phenomenal job just really bringing the emotional drama that her character needed to bring, that kind of emotional gut punch that was needed for that role. So I think it was a fantastic movie. Absolutely highly recommend it. Based out of 5, I'm probably going to rate this movie, I'll give it a solid 4. Let's go with like the heart-shaped Elton John glasses, because I really like those. I thought they were pretty cool looking. So yeah, 4 out of 5 heart-shaped Elton John glasses. Highly recommend this movie. The only thing else I have to mention is I don't know exactly if this movie would play to someone who's maybe not a big Elton John fan. I wouldn't say I'm huge, but I do have a very good relationship, I would say, with a lot of his songs, and especially his hits, which there is a lot of in this movie, but I don't know how it would play. So talking about comments and liking and whatever for this video, let me know down in the comments. Have you seen this movie and you're not really a big Elton John fan? How did this movie play for you? Let us know so we can talk about it down below. Also, what did you think of this review? Let me know down in the comments. And also, if you like this video, make sure you hit like. If you didn't like this video, then also, above my head, there is a subscribe button. You can hit that to subscribe, and off to the side are a couple other videos that we, the Cinefanatics, have done. And as always, I'm a rocket man, burning out his fuse up here alone. Yeah, later. That was weird, and that definitely wasn't me singing in my own background.